Welcome to RAADcast, where science and soul converge in shaping the future of human potential. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Grill-Peterson, and together we're stepping beyond limits to explore super longevity. Produced by the Coalition for Radical Life Extension, the visionaries behind RAADfest, RAADcast is more than a podcast. It's a movement for the bold, the curious, and those who refuse to settle for anything less than the extraordinary. Together, we'll uncover the cutting-edge science, unknown strategies, and transformative practices, paving the way for a future of limitless potential. If you're ready to think bigger, dream bolder, and live longer, you're in the right place. This is RAADcast. Now let's get ready to explore the future of life itself. Hi, everyone. Today, I am so honored to welcome to the show Doctors Ben and Shawn Javid. They're co-founders of Smile Body, and we're going to talk all about their unique integrative approach to full holistic health, starting in the mouth. And, these two are true pioneers because for over 2 decades, they have brought an approach to biological dentistry that have actually pioneered an innovative approach in healthcare that integrates both the holistic dental with the comprehensive medical services. And they really emphasize the vital connection between oral health and overall wellness. And today, we're going to explore if your mouth could be aging you faster than you think. And if so, what we can actually do about it. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. It's such an honor to have you both here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's awesome to be here. It's very exciting. We love what you're doing.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. I'm going to just jump right in because obviously we're here to talk big radical ideas. And it seems so simple. Oral health as a whole is the unsung hero in overall health. So while people might not think it's radical, please drop in and tell us all why oral health is actually radical when it comes to curating overall health and super longevity.
Well, obviously when you think about what are the limiting factors of longevity, a lot of time it's disease, right? It's toxicity, the toxic load, or other forms of limiting factors that keep us from our goals of longevity, vitality, and health, correct? So with the prospect of a biological dentist, what we look at is how do we reduce the toxic load that is actually many times limiting our longevity and vitality. And it affects these things on a daily level. And of course, then ultimately not be able to reach longevity. So what I mean by that is we look at the toxic load with obviously metals, heavy metals. We are looking at a lot of times there's infections in the mouth that are leading to major autoimmune disorders and cancers. A lot of times they're overlooked. So we're very much about that body and mouth connection because a lot of times in the current medical system, we're treating them like silos. It's you treat the mouth and then you treat the heart and then so there's a doctor for the heart. And it's all separated. So we believe in bringing all that together. That's why our brand is called Smile Body, mouth and body all under one roof.
Love that. Okay, so what I'm hearing really quickly is it's almost like inflammaging. That inflammatory process is really starting in the mouth, and it can happen in a few different ways. And you guys are specialists in that. So I'm hearing heavy metals, and I have to tell you, this morning I was getting ready, and I was telling my son, I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm going to sit down and have a chat with these, really amazing biological dentists. He's like, what's a biological dentist, Mom? And I'm just like, well, years ago, we didn't know that things like mercury fillings were really bad for our bodies and that they were just completely putting heavy metals directly in our brain, like right here to just put inflammation straight up to the brain and just bring all those metals into the body. I said, so these are the dentists that actually know how to safely remove this stuff, bring down that inflammation and help our brains to be healthier. He was like, oh, that's really kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, as you know, we go to a lot of these biohack events, right? People are trying to biohack the body, like for what? Like for Ben saying for longevity, right? That's the whole point of this. So when they don't realize there's so much toxicity and infection coming from the oral cavity, like for instance, we do a lot of cone beam CT scans on every patient, which, cone beam CT scan is critical to diagnose what Ben was talking about, to find bony infections, sinus infections, cavitations, and these are kind of
infected root canals.
Yeah, infected root canals. I mean, there's a lot of things that we find that people have no pain and they have no idea. And you can biohack your mitochondria as much as you want, as you know, at these conferences. It's all about the mitochondria, right? If you have good health with your mitochondria, you're going to have longevity. But when you have toxicity pouring down from the oral cavity, you cannot biohack your body. So this is what we talk to patients about.
Listen, I'm a student today. I want everybody listening to know I am geeking out as much as all of you are. So this is my private classroom. Thank you, gentlemen, for educating me. So let's just give a nod for a moment to Gary Brecka in the fact that he's been a real advocate to talk about root canals, right? And how we can have all these different types of pain, low back pain, different things that are correlated with having a root canal. And you're just talking about there's so many cavitations, there's so many places where inflammation can be brewing that we have zero idea about. Our brains would never connect, and we could think it's the mold, it's the gut, it's it's an environmental toxin maybe at the end of our fork, but we're not really thinking about, wait, it could just all be festering right here, and if so, what do we do about it? So talk to us for a moment. There's a lot we're going to talk about today. Talk to us for a moment just about root canals. Talk to us about these hidden sources of inflammation and how they could potentially be creating these phantom pains or correlating with other downstream type of problems that we would never connect the dots as just an average layperson or even another healthcare professional. I wouldn't necessarily think I'm going to go right to the mouth first. So help us kind of put that together a little bit.
Well, root canals is somewhat of a controversial topic because in dental school, we're taught, when the nerve is dead or dying, you go and do a root canal, which is you're cleaning out the nerve that in theory is causing the pain or infection that's also causing pain. So it's a pain treatment, really what it is. And in theory, it's great for treating pain. Now, but here's the thing. We actually got an extra, Shawn and I both got a lot of extra training in doing root canals. We took anytime we want to do something, we want to make sure we're doing it the best possible way, right? So we did extra training. We've done thousands of root canals over the years. And so, but the thing is, as you evolve, we kind of realize that it's not for us anymore. We haven't done them in also many years now. And for us, we don't see it as a long-term solution. And
a lot of them we find infections. So a lot of infections, just like any other infected tooth, you do on the cone beam and the cone beam CT scan, we find a lot of infections, and that's why people have to go back and forth with the endodontist all the time. And a lot of people don't know they have infections or sinus infections we find. So we just want to have something that's biocompatible for the body, and it's long term. So that's basically that's the most important thing for us.
The thing is, a lot of times people associate infection with pain, right? They'll think, well, if I had anything wrong with it, I would know. But guess what?
You don't know.
Not know.
You don't know.
90% of the time when we scan someone that has root canals, and we scan everyone that has a root canal gets scanned automatically. It's not something optional. And because
we should talk about the cone beam because this is very important when you talk about. A lot of people don't know what the scan means exactly.
Oh, it's amazing. Have you heard of the cone beam CT scan, or have you ever?
No, that's so. Yes, let's unpack that. Let's unpack that.
So that's what I want to emphasize.
Unpack that.
A lot of people, we know what it is. We just say scan, and they don't know really what we're talking about. So this is a 3D machine. It's a cone beam CT scan. It's a huge machine that. Actually, I'm not sure if you know Dr. Daniel Pompa. He's an amazing guy that understands about oral toxicity, and he checks every patient, so as we do. And so basically, we do a cone beam 3D scan of the mouth and the skull, the whole skull, and we that way we can see a lot of bony infections, sinus infections that you cannot see on a two-dimensional X-ray. Okay. So cavitations, teeth infections, root canal infections, sinus infections, these all show up in a 3D cone beam scan. So if you don't have a 3D cone beam scan, you cannot really diagnose stuff, because X-rays are really just for
two-dimensional
cavities.
Yeah,
it's really for cavities.
The two-dimensional, it's a whole new leap in technology from a regular two-dimensional X-ray, because you can see way more. And then what's cool about the cone beam CT scan compared to the regular CT scan that you get at a hospital, this cone beam technology actually makes it so you get significantly less radiation, similar to when you get a full set of X-rays when you go to the dentist. About the same amount of radiation, which keeps getting less and less with the current technology. So you're getting a lot of information for the patient with minimal exposure, which is important for us too. As a biological dentist, we don't want to ever add to the toxic load. We want to reduce the toxic load. So that's really, really important for us too. So the cone beam technology gives us really the vision to be able to actually diagnose so much.
Well, at this point, I mean, we've gone at this point in our career now, we have so many functional doctors throughout the country that they take cone beam CT scans on their patients and they send it over to us for us to read the CT scan for their patients and do a telecall and find out if they have oral infections before they treat them. Those are really the true functional doctors that are smart, that they understand their role.
The longevity revolution is about more than just searching online for a few hacks, or any one of us moving our biomarkers in the right direction. It's about coming together to learn, share, to connect, and create the unlimited future we want. That's why you need to be at RAADfest 2025 in Las Vegas from July 10th to the 13th. RAADfest, the revolution against aging and death, is proud to be partnering for the first time with Dr. Aubrey de Grey and Longevity Escape Velocity Foundation to form the single most comprehensive, advanced, informative, and inspiring event on age reversal for a general audience. Meet the people you want to make forever with. RAADfest 2025. Take advantage of lower advanced pricing now at raadfest.com.
Okay, so let me ask at this juncture, because this is just a common sense question. So you do the scan, you find infection, and maybe it's in several different areas. And I do want to kind of end the loop with the root canal and also bridge it into this, because if we all understand root canal is potentially, so it's a nerve that's dying or it's inflamed, it's causing pain. So anything that is inflamed, whether it's the nerve root itself, or another source, a cavity that's just, sitting there and creating that cavitation of just that pooling of just bacteria and inflammation, kind of in the mouth. The moment you see it, then what do you as practitioners do? But also, if we think or know, like, I could have it, or I just want to reduce my risk of, how do we as the patient become proactive in our oral health? So there's kind of the two prong. What's your approach as a practitioner to radically bring this down? And then what should we be thinking about as consumers and patients to help ourselves, kind of in this process as well?
Well, as I said, again, most probably you won't know if you have an infection in the root canal, unless the infection gets so bad. Think of it as a leaky faucet. Right. When there's a faucet that's leaking, it might be such a slow drip that you won't notice the leak even has happening, right? Or it could be dripping and drizzling where you're like, wow, okay, I have a leaky faucet. With your jaw, when there's a bacteria leaking from an infected tooth, let's say in this case, an infected root canal, it's the same thing. It's leaking into your system constantly. Now, that might show up as just lethargy or tired. You might have brain fog. You might have some symptoms, right? You might not feel like yourself. You might have sinus infections repeatedly if it's in that upper area. But otherwise, you generally won't know. You won't know that there's anything going on. You won't have tooth pain when you're chewing down. It's just that this slow leak, it's going in your lymph system, it's going throughout your whole body. So my number one recommendation is, if you do have a root canal, you should be scanned with a qualified biological dentist to see the health of these root canals, and make sure that if there is any leakage happening on them, because you won't know. Don't look for pain. Pain is not going to be the solution here. And with the concept of replacement, Shawn, if you want to explain, there's some great options now as an option to replace.
I mean, that's a good point. There's a lot of patients that we find on the cone beam CT scan either they have inflammation or infection that they don't know about, right? And what happens is we're educators. So when people come to the wellness center, we talk to them. We never tell any patient what to do. They're always asking, well, what do you think, Dr. Shawn? I'm like, we're just educators. We can give you our opinion, but we give you literature to read, and you have to make a judgment what you want to do with your body. You have two options. We can refer the patient out to the conventional world. If they want to go retreat the root canal, that's an option. If they want to do that conventionally, or in the biological world, we usually recommend to take, if it's infected, take the tooth out. And then we don't use antibiotics. So we try not to use antibiotics at all because of the microbiome of the gut. So we usually use ozone therapy to clean the infection.
Lasers.
And lasers, absolutely. And then PRF from your blood. So we don't use any kind of synthetic bone or anything like that.
PRF, for the people that don't know, is it's called platelet-rich fibrin, where we actually draw your own blood, centrifuge it, get growth factors from your own blood.
Stem cells,
leukocytes, other growth factors we drive, and we get its concentration and use it in your own healing process in that area where, like any surgery, whether it's root canals that are bad that we're taking out and replacing, or anywhere we want bone growth. This is a super wonderful technology that hasn't been around that long.
Yeah, because conventionally they use cadaver bone, so that we don't want to use anything like cadaver or cow bone, so that we use your own blood. That's a great point. And then after that, we use zirconia implants, which we don't want any metals in the body, like we talked about. So zirconia is a biocompatible material that is basically a very, very dense structure that's more porcelain based, and we place it in there. And it keeps your meridians open, and it's very biocompatible, and it adapts really well to the job.
Shawn mentioned the meridians, a really important thing, because when you have a root canal, we know it's blocking your meridians. And for the viewers, I think most people know about the meridians, like the acupuncturists, or you go to the acupuncturist, they work on your meridians. But we know that root canals are blocking that meridian, but also titanium implants are blocking that meridian as well. So not only do these metal titanium implants, you're introducing metal, you're blocking your meridian, you're blocking the electric flow of the body. You're also an antenna for the EMF when you have that metal in your body. But when you have the ceramic implant, and some of the technologies that have advanced in that ceramic implant technology is just next level now with the brands that we're using right now. It's no block in your meridian system, no metal leaking in your body, and you treat it like your own tooth. There's really great solutions now.
Are you ready to redefine aging and unlock your full potential as a longevity leader? At the Human Longevity Institute, our world-class certification programs train doctors, coaches, and wellness professionals how to deliver cutting-edge integrative longevity health solutions so people can live better today for longer, healthier, and more vibrant tomorrows. If you're ready to join the longevity revolution, visit humanlongevityinstitute.com to enroll and become a practitioner today. So all right, as the patient, we have either prior root canals that have been done. We've got cavities that could be mercury or some other titanium. So we could have implants. We're at a certain age. We've had dental work done before we knew about amazing biological dentists like yourself. Is it safe and okay to go find somebody like yourself, and we can kind of exchange out all the hardware and clean it all up with ozone and slow down any rate? So what I'm hearing is a lot of this stuff obviously is going to continue to stoke the fires of inflammation, can also create a host of other problems. So potentially mercury fillings, things like that. Again, heavy metals is going to add to that toxicant burden in the body. Any kind of heavy toxicant load is just, gang, all that's doing is giving our body more work to try to process. It is pro-inflammatory. As we know, if we think through the hallmarks of aging, one of the big ones at the core of all of this is that inflammaging process. So as we chronologically age, one of the things that we're always looking for is how do we mitigate that rate and pace of just all the different factors that could be stoking the fires of inflammation. So the more that we can, I call it taking logs off the fire. We don't want to keep it burning so hot, so strong, so long. So something like heavy metals could be one of those things, adding to that toxicant burden that's going to speed up that rate and pace of aging. Obviously, you're saying then other metals, right? Titanium become the whole other thing we don't even often think about. We become antennas. So what are we emitting with the frequencies and the frequency distortion? So are we able to come in anytime along our trajectory, find a biological dentist, and first of all, have the outdated stuff upgraded with some better quality, much safer, less inflammation producing hardware?
Let's talk about mercury fillings real quick, okay? Because you brought that up, it's very critical to talk about this. So, and the reason we say mercury fillings, a lot of people used to call it silver fillings, but it's actually 53 to 54% mercury. And what people don't know, it's not like gold or titanium, like we talked about. So it's releasing mercury all the time in your mouth and your system, right?
Can't smell it or taste it.
You can't smell it. Bubbles of mercury are coming up. So hot, cold, just chewing is releasing mercury. Now, when you pick up your cell phone, the EMF, like you said, acts as an antenna. So it goes to the metal first, but in this case, it's not just metal. So it releases double the amount of mercury all the time. And people don't realize that, right? Now, when
we see you guys. Oh my God, keep talking.
I were in Miami, we were lecturing, and with a crowd of people, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm going to thank you. I'm going to go back to my dentist. I'm going to drill it out." And we're like, no.
Don't do that.
Do not do that, because what happens is there's a protocol. I have to take it out safely, because as a dentist myself for 30 years, I used to drill on these mercury fillings all the time. I didn't know.
Just like if it's a cavity.
Right? And when you drill on this, 3,000 microns per minute come off the mercury. Right? So when it sits on your skin, hair, and anywhere, and it goes right away to the pituitary gland, to the thyroid, it resides in the thyroid. And then when it gets into the blood, the way your blood cleans it up, it goes into the organs. So it resides in the organs. And so then you're going to have a lot of metal toxicity.
And the brain, don't forget. The brain.
Yeah, brain fog, thyroid issues, organ issues. And people have no idea why.
Major neurotoxin.
And so there's a critical way of taking out mercury fillings, like you were talking about, is biologically, we drape the patient from head to toe. There's oxygen placed, the gargle with charcoal. There's special high-powered vacuum we put next to your face, so as the vapes come off.
Inside the mouth.
Also inside the mouth to protect anything getting inside the mouth. And then once it's eradicated and safely out of the mouth, is cleaned out, then we use biocompatible materials. Here we have a laboratory. We fabricate things on site, like porcelain structures, and we place it in the same time. So the removal structure of it is very critical, how you remove mercury.
And then you have to work on getting it out of your body. That's another whole detoxing of this cellular level detox is critical too. Because now you're getting rid of the source. Now then we have to clean our bodies. And there's testing systems that we utilize in the office. There's great technology that we can test the metals and minerals in your body, the heavy metal in your body at the tissue level, not in the blood, because that's a really important thing. A lot of times patients will come say, you know what, I've had my mercuries out. I went and got a blood test and I'm clear. They said I'm good. But guess what? Mercury is not in your blood generally. People don't realize that blood or urine tests are just not really where your mercury is stored. Your body is intelligent. It actually is absorbing that out of your blood on a regular level, putting in, like Shawn said, in storage areas like fatty tissue. But that bucket gets full, as Shawn said, over time. And over time, it overflows. This toxic burden coming from every way. And this is just one thing we're talking about, which is mercury. But all metals have no place in the body. And then ultimately going to the brain, and people have there's this many stories. I mean, Shawn mentioned Dr. Papa. He went through this journey himself where he had major mercury toxicity and it was causing psychological issues. It's a neurotoxin because when it gets to the brain, there's depression, there's major emotional issues that come up that, we're not looking at. We're ignoring in this with adolescents. And another big thing to remember, it's not about just what you're exposed to. It's also what your mom was exposed to and because these metals are actually, we know now, are transferred to the child. Not just so this child is born now has the toxic burden of the mom, and now adding to it from society and what is happening.
Yeah.
So this is it's
that cumulative effect. Yeah, 100%. And so it's super interesting. And I could just keep going and going. I'm like, there's so much I want to talk about. And we've got stay with us, everybody, because we're kind of at our halfway point and we're just getting started. But what I'm hearing is, one of the things that we teach our practitioners at Human Longevity Institute is understanding that 3 out of every 4 people out there are dealing with some foundational health disruption and issue, already diagnoses, disease, breakdown, dysfunction. And when we already have signs, symptoms, dysfunction, we are already aging at an accelerated rate and pace, faster biologically than we are chronologically, right? So the birthday could say 55, but our body could be aging and already at a rate of 60 or 65. So when we talk about this biological expression, things like inflammation speed it up. Things like these different toxicant burdens, the different burdens or stressors or loads that come onto the body, they add more work for the body. And the body is intelligent and it is always going to find the path to keep us, first of all, alive. That is priority number 1. So it will compromise. It'll compromise things to say, hey, I got to keep you afloat. And it might not be perfect, but I'm going to do what I got to do to just keep you above water today. And obviously, we don't want to just be above water. Here at RAADcast, we're talking about radical life extension. And in this moment, we are dealing with 3 out of every 4 people really have some major foundational health issues. So what I'm hearing is from a biological oral health standpoint. Step 1 is we come in and we're going to look to say, what could be some of these root contributing factors that are adding to this accelerated rate and pace of aging that you might not even know starts in your mouth, right? If we're not flossing, you could have inflammation going on just from the food that's hanging out in your teeth, as an example. So you've been sharing one of the key things that many of us deal with, which is mercury or metals in our mouth that become an important issue to have looked at. But you guys have done something really unique in your practice, which is you've gone several steps beyond, not beyond, first of all, you've gone beyond conventional dentistry with being biological dentists. Then you've gone several steps beyond biological dentistry to create an integrative, really what I would refer to as a longevity hacking. So again, we teach longevity medicine, right? And you guys are we teach our practitioners how you bring lifestyle and molecules and regenerative technologies, advanced therapeutic technologies into one protocol to really reverse age, create rejuvenation in the system so that the body can, like we're about to hit longevity escape velocity within the next decade. Like how do we help this human system be ready, be our best so that we can live radically long, vibrant lives? So let's just put a button. We could spend this entire talk just going through foundational health, but let's kind of move into this innovation that you guys have brought to your practice that I think you're bringing to dentistry overall, which is, like I said, kind of this longevity hacking center. Why did you guys decide to extend beyond what you are already really doing so well with removing the heavy metals, using the ozone therapy, starting with biological dentistry? What took you to that next step?
I mean, it's a great question. I mean, after all the patients always ask me that. I mean, I've been actually practicing for 30 years, right? And the first 15 years, I was a conventional dentist, so I was implantologist, cosmetic dentist, took out thousands of mercury fillings, exposing myself and my patients and all that. And then I became a biological dentist 15 years ago when my eyes opened up. Went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, oh my God, I'm hurting my patients. I'm hurting myself. So, and then the journey that Ben and I have been taking, so many patients were talking to us, Dr. Shawn, I need a pediatric holistic dentist. There's nobody around. Please. And I'm like, I don't see children. So that was like hurting us. We really want to help. And then there were so many patients coming in that they were ill. They're having brain fog, gut issues, different kind of autoimmune issues. We're always talking about this. And we were trying to send them to functional doctors around. A lot of people didn't want to drive far and they weren't really happy. And we finally sat down and we said, you know what? This is something that we have to kind of change our trajectory of where we're going. And we have to be able to treat patients in our facility medically as well as orally, right? So we put our minds together. We're like, we're going to encompass a center. And so we went from a 2,000 square foot center to a 7,000 square foot center to be able to fit this. And so we brought on 5 functional doctors that we handpicked, and they're incredible. I mean, their approach to taking is amazing. We created an IV center, and we created hyperbaric oxygen chamber and red light therapy and different kind of biohacking equipment that we have in the center. So that way, when we find things orally, we can send them right over to the functional doctors right after to see how we're going to treat them medically as well, because they're suffering. So now we detox them. We make sure there's no toxicity coming from the oral cavity. So we know that 100%. We took out all the toxicity in their bone or any kind of infections they have. And right over, we send them over to the functional doctors for lab work, or sometimes we get it ahead of time to kind of take a look at the lab work. And then from there, they either get IVs or whatever treatment, ozone therapy, hyperbarics, or whatever they need to do to start decreasing the toxic load. Like Ben was talking about, when your bucket gets full, it overflows and they're sick, and
to add to what Shawn is saying, for me, there was a big frustration because the current medical system is not really health care. It's sick care, as you know, and it's creating a toxic situation for these patients coming in with more and more prescriptions on their health history, more and more health issues constantly. So, and it wasn't just about, diet. Diet is the basis of everything for us. Yes, nutrition. But we realized the system is not set up for true health, longevity, vitality. It's not set up for that. It's set up to create, honestly, income for the select few of the big pharma, big food industry. And it's working really well, that system, for them. Works really bad for us. So for us, we, yes, we can go fight the system, but we said, why? We're not going to fight it. We're just going to do something better. And we were literally drawn to this because we felt like in many ways this is our path, and because we of our own personal journey, not in health journeys. Shawn has had his own health journey. I've had my own health journey. We have been exploring the potential of health, longevity, vitality on our own personally. So it was so many things have brought us to this point. And we feel like, this is just, we're kind of here to expedite this next chapter, not only in oral health, but actual health care, because we believe that it's important to not treat patients as in silos, like we're talking about. We all have to work together. The chiropractors of the world, the naturopaths of the world, the MDs that are open-minded, that are really working integratively, the wonderful nurses that really feel like now there has to be a better way. All these just prescriptions over and over again and just surgeries, doesn't make sense. So we are trying to, and it's been amazing. This past year or so, or two, we feel like, right? It's just like a shift. We feel like, not only as we've been building the center that we're in now, so much alignment has happened with the right people coming in and getting behind it. We're almost riding a wave. We're not even doing it at this point. We're riding a wave because this is something that has to be done, and people get behind this, and our wonderful, amazing people that we meet are helping us create this, because it's what's necessary for the next chapter of health, not just oral health, real well-being.
Right. And I think that for all of our listeners, unfortunately, not only as we have all been classically trained as healthcare practitioners and providers, but also what we are marketed to as lay people is this idea that the body is not intelligent, that it is a machine, that it is pieces and parts, it is siloed, and that's exactly not how it is. We are a complex, dynamic, living organism. We are innate intelligence expressed, and we are literally nature expressed. And so, we're really coming into this time that we get to look at ourselves differently. Everybody is feeling the way things have been isn't really the fit anymore. We are at this exciting time. I speak often all around the globe about longevity is a paradigm shift. So longevity isn't just, oh, let's live a little longer, feel a little healthier, add a little life extension. No, it's a totally entirely different model and approach to how we live as humans across the planet, because we are at a time through the regenerative medicine scope. And I want to talk to you about regenerative dentistry just for the few minutes that we have remaining. And I want to have a couple rapid fire questions coming your way. So hang tight, gentlemen. But we are living in this time that, from a healthcare standpoint, more and more practitioners, to your point, are feeling the call. We are waking up and realizing, yeah, no, we're not pieces and parts, and we're not just machines. There is intelligence. And so we all need each other, and we need to respect the human system differently. We need to not take on ownership that we're here to fix a patient, but we are here to empower a patient to take back their own health, to get engaged and get curious and be just thrilled about, the life essence that flows through them. And I think that's what's so beautiful about RAADcast and RAADfest. It's really a celebration of our aliveness and the life force that is within us. And so I hope every listener today, if you've been sitting here going, oh my gosh, maybe I've got cavities and I've got this problem, it's easy to think, oh my gosh, I've got a problem. Okay, but we don't have to beat the drum of the problem. We live in a time where so many solutions are available. We get to stand up, go take a new action, be proactive, because we want to curate more aliveness. And so I really celebrate the two of you for being innovators, especially from the oral health route. Yes, there is an awakening. Yes, longevity is the paradigm shift that's going to radically transform healthcare and human existence as we know it. And so let's talk for a moment regenerative practices, because regeneration, there's the one side of, hey, let's bring down the inflammatory load. Let's just help to, like, a lot of people are suffering with issues. Like, we do need to meet people from a foundational health standpoint there. And then what? Because this system, we're not here to just feel like crap all the time. This system is designed in our very DNA to evolve forward into greater and greater and greater states of flourishing and thriving. So when we look through the lens of regenerative medicines, regenerative growth factors, things of that nature, that all of a sudden can give us these net positive gains of kind of giving us more biological youth and, staving off kind of the breakdown chronologically. Tell us about what's coming through regenerative dentistry. Where can that fit in our overall longevity stacks, our radical life extension? How do we want to think about some of the some of the solutions that are available to us that we as lay people might not know of yet, but we should know about?
Well, regenerative medicine is amazing, and unfortunately hasn't. It's just barely starting to get into the world of biological dentistry. It's not really getting in, and actually, we're pushing that envelope a little bit with technologies and such as stem cells, peptides. A lot of exosomes. Yeah. These technologies, combining them with photobiomodulation lasers and hyperbarics and red light, infrared, all these things, all these true modalities are there now. These technologies are here. We can't ignore it. And in the world of biological dentistry, so it combines this technology with current research and ancient wisdom. Ancient wisdom we can't overlook. Like we talked about meridians and the natural intelligence of the body. If we now we combine that with these technologies, the potential is tremendous. And again, it's not just about saving a tooth, regenerating bone with stem cells, exosome. These things where we before we thought there's no options. Now there are options. But really, these are the things that's going to change how we see what's possible, and the impact of that connection, mouth-body connection. Because again, I can't say it enough. The connection is so much more than we even realize right now. It's just so much more than we even realize. You were just getting a glimpse of it. And our bodies are just, I mean, our connection, everything is connected to such a higher and deeper level than we even realize right now.
It's a good point what Ben is talking about, because biological dentistry, they're not really considering this at all at this point. And we've been approached, and because we've been pushing this ourselves to bring in stem cells and exosomes and start introducing it orally, because it's not being done right now at all, even in biological dentistry. So because we want to see how we can help patients heal faster, right? And so this is something that we're going to be introducing in 25. So we're going to be a research facility. A lot of people are looking at us to kind of push the envelope with this and bring it in orally and start helping people with it. So yeah, we're very excited about that.
With our unique kind of system that we created with our medical team, and our dental team, with the biological dentists, and we have that angle where we're looking at the body through that lens of, as a complete system.
We're not lasers too, with like the Weber laser and all that.
The technology is there. There's some great technologies with Weber, with photobiomodulations, other kind of lasers that, V-cell technology. This is all with Dr. Todd, I was talking with the other day, and he's wants to be involved with and to creating a model together. So what we believe is that if we all working together with all these amazing people, we can actually push the envelope to a whole new level, So that's what excites me. For me, it's the potential is so much, and we're excited now. We have someone, hopefully, Bobby Kennedy can make a change and open up doors more and take off the handcuffs of that's been on this industry, where we weren't able to do as much as we wanted to, and people are going to Mexico and with and we have colleagues in Mexico that are doing wonderful things, and we love. In fact, one of our naturopaths, she has a clinic in Mexico, and so we have to our goal is bring these thought leaders together, and we saw this at A4M, and we saw this big room of amazing thought leaders added together, working together this past weekend. So it's exciting. It's super exciting for us to see what's next. Really.
It is. And I feel it, and I love your passion and enthusiasm. So let me ask you this. Let's get some like practical. I need some doctoring advice. You are the oral health expert. What's the one action that you would tell every listener that they should absolutely be doing or taking today to improve their overall oral health as part of their longevity living plan?
I'll take that, Shawn.
Just basic oral health and things that we tell patients is, getting down to the basics. We don't want to disrupt the microbiome of the mouth. Okay. So, or oral hygiene wise, we always tell patients we do not want to use any oral mouthwashes on the countertop. That have dyes in them, they're toxic. Like, a lot of them, they do kill 99.9% of the bacteria, but we don't want to kill 99.9% of bacteria.
Right. So no mouthwash. Yeah.
No mouthwashes. Okay. And
conventional toothpaste, same thing.
Yeah. And so what happens when you change the microbiome of the oral cavity, that goes to your gut. So people don't realize that now you change the microbiome of the gut, that causes gut issues. So we tell people no over-the-counter mouthwashes at all, right? Coconut oil pulling is amazing. It's an Ayurvedic method. It's been around for 1,000 years. So we tell patients they can do that, right? People that, a good hygiene, water picking with hydrogen peroxide, 2 or 3 times a week. That is a fantastic idea. If you don't have an ozone machine, that you can use that to clean the tissue. And a round brush, and no fluorides at all in any of the toothpaste. You have to make sure the toothpaste are super clean. So
we can't just have, I mean, most of the viewers on this podcast are somewhat educated on these basic things, but really they're the basic things. First, it's like,
a
again,
lot of people don't know.
you don't want to introduce more toxicity in your body with what you eat, what you're putting on your skin, what you're putting in your body. At least let's cut out the toxic load from what we have control.
Well, let me ask you this. And I mean, because we're always told to floss, yet for a lot of people, depending on their gum health, when they floss, they could be cutting the gum and then they could actually be creating more, micro traumas and openings, if you will, for greater inflammatory processes. So where do we stand with flossing? Do we floss every day, multiple times a day? Do we floss only with a water pick? What's the way to approach that?
I'll give it my opinion.
The flossing, don't forget, another thing is that most of these flosses have major microplastics in them. And you're now every day, you're ingesting these microplastics when you're flossing. So that's another thing to think about. There's a lot of not very good brands out there. Glide, one of the that's the biggest brand out there. And, a lot of microplastics, and you're utilizing that. It's like putting, the plumber's tape again. It's utilizing the same kind of material in your body on a daily basis. There is a place for floss. I mean, there are more natural products to look for. Cocoa Floss is a better one brand in the market, but you have to look for the better brands and look at what it's made of. But here's the thing: the better solution, Shawn was saying. You know what? As far as ortho goes, coconut oil pulling, and more importantly, oral hygiene is not the number one thing that actually prevents health issues. It's not oral hygiene, right? Most people think, and conventional dentists, what we say a lot, what I used to say is, when you see there's bleeding gums, you tell them, oh, you know what, you need to floss more or you need to brush more. But guess what? That is important. Oral hygiene is important, but it's not top on the list. What's top on the list is that oral microbiome that Shawn was talking about. Your nutrition, your balance, internal balance of your oral and systemic biome is what's going to give you rock hard teeth and strength. So if you have the right mineral balance, like vitamin D and K2 and all those important minerals and vitamins in your body. So like if someone has unhealthy gums in our office, we don't tell them just brush and floss. We look at your mineral balance. We see
micronutrients.
We see are they low in vitamin D? Let's see what's going on in their body. Maybe we have to make an adjustment in what they're eating. For us, nutrition is a conversation for every patient that comes in this office.
That's very important.
And so if we actually balance it, guess what? Even if someone has poor oral hygiene, they're not going to get cavities. They're not going to have oral problems. Their gums will be healthy because the oral microbiome is keeping it healthy. This is something that is known, and it's been known for a long time. Weston A. Price, as you probably know about, he talked about this in his research many years ago in the 30s. And he saw that based on the tribes that he would visit, if their nutrition was not the current Western diet, they had straight teeth, they had no cavities, they were healthy individuals. And then as soon as these same tribes, the Western diet was introduced to them, these next generation was born with rotting teeth, crowded teeth, deformed jaws, where there's no room for wisdom teeth. There's, all the stuff that the Western world we're dealing with, where everyone has to get braces, everyone has to, get cavities now. This is not normal. This is that we're come to accept that we die at age of 60. We've come to accept that we're, we're going to just all have dentures. We come to accept that we're just going to get cavities and we're going to have to go to the dentist to get cavities. This is something that we cannot accept. We have to actually look for a better way. And the information is there. We just have to change the system back away from
So let's do this, gentlemen, because we are right at time. But I have one question I want to ask both of you. But give me less than 30 seconds. Give us the most important foods right now that we should be eating more of that will really provide a optimal oral health environment? Best foods for best dental health.
I mean, I'm a big health advocate, so I get up 4 in the morning. I'm biohacking my body, red light, ice plunge, going through all that. And my diet is the most important thing. I'm on a carnivore diet. So for me, if it's man-made, I don't have it. Okay. Yep. And I basically feed my body everything that's natural, organic foods, all kind of meats and organs and different kind of stuff that basically is high micronutrients for my body.
Yep.
And anything that's clean, I feed my body. They can break down and process it, but I don't have anything processed at all.
Great.
So that's my diet, and that's what I talk to patients about. Mm-hmm. Do not have processed foods, because the medicine for your body is what you put into it, right? And so if you're putting toxic materials into your body and you call it food, and your body's going to become toxic.
I mean, just to add to that, for me, it's also not what you just put in, is what you don't put in is more important. Right. You have to be, again, Shawn said, processed foods. But in addition to that, it's all the processed sugar, the wheat and gluten in this country in particular, and conventional dairy. And the biggest of all is seed oils. So for us, as far as nutrition goes, is get these core things out of your diet first. And then if you want to do some carnivore, great, keto, great, paleo, great, there's different ways of going about it. And I don't think there's one right way out of those. You have to kind of look around and see and try to maybe try different things. Mm-hmm. But at least remove the toxics that we just talked about.
All right, fantastic. So 30 seconds are left for each of you, and then we got to do a wrap up. I want to know your longevity living vision. Ben, tell me, what's your big vision of how you want to be living your longest, healthiest, most vibrant life? To what age? What does that look like? Inspire us.
Well, you know what? It's all these things we talked about, the biohacks, the technology, the combination of oral health and medical health, that is great. But one of the things that we cannot overlook is mental health. And one of the biggest toxins in your body is also what the thoughts in your mind. We can't overlook that. And if we are just doing all these biohacks and now we're pouring this toxicity in your mind every day, which is this negative self-talk that happens with a lot of people, everyone, so many, we have to address that as well. So for us, we want to always be partnering up. If we're looking at the body as a whole, mental, spiritual health is so important as well. We're grounding, we're meditating, and we're looking ways of getting the gut healthy so that improves your mental and well-being at the same time.
Amazing. Shawn, 30 seconds. Give me your longevity living vision.
I can beat that. That was amazing. Right? I mean, for me, like you said, taking vitamin G, like Ben Azadi talks about, gratitude is the most important thing. So I wake up with gratitude every morning, and I wake up at 4 in the morning. I biohack my body. I eat right. So I spend 2 hours in the morning on myself to make sure that I can have optimal. When I come over to my practice, I can talk to. So I walk the walk, basically, right?
Beautiful.
So I don't tell patients to do something when I'm not doing it myself. And the reason I'm doing it, I have 3 children. I have a beautiful wife that I love, and I want to be there for them a long, long time. And I want to be working in our wellness center for a long, long time helping patients. So if I want to do that, I have to walk the walk first, so I'm working on my own body and mind to make sure I can be there for the long term.
I love it. I love it. Ben and Shawn Javid, the co-founders of Smile Body. There will be links in the show notes of where you can find out more about these incredible visionaries. And listen, we have broken it down today that yes, your mouth does matter. Not only what you put into it, but what you don't put into it. It is our mouth, our minds, our bodies, because gang, if we are here to live a radical life of super longevity, it does begin in how well we are living right now in this moment today. So as we close, I inspire you, I empower you, I invite you to stay bold, to stay curious, and go foster your own enhanced state of aliveness today. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on RAADcast, where science and soul ignite the future of radical life extension. Be sure to visit us over at raadfest.com. There you can engage with like minds in the super longevity movement and find out about upcoming conferences and events. If you're inspired by today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to live bigger, bolder, and longer. Stay curious, and we'll see you next time on RAADcast.